Um, uh, just wanted to show a little containers progress. The code is very unhappy with me, so we'll see how well this demo goes. It's always fun to demo in code I was just touching. Um, but so this should look fairly familiar to what you saw last time I showed. There are a bunch of changes under the hood happening here. So the what were tabs before are just a drop down, because I was mainly playing with, like, we're not going to want to dictate how people want to lay out their, let's say, container view. So this is just like my sanity to be able to debug through these. What's running underneath is pretty different. This is actually the raw stuff. I don't know what we call this, spec, I'll call it, for layout, is now being run through a little compiler so it can do things like intelligent references. So you'll notice up here I have a couple of a control and a filter. And if I switch over to, let's say, this one, the exact same control and filter are showing up there. And that's actually done as a reference. So you can see right here, it says container type reference, reference key, filter controls, key I made up, and way down here somewhere. Again, we're going to build a UI, I promise. But right down here is this little container that describes a couple of controls. So you can imagine I can now reuse those across different spots. Again, a lot of this is like building up the things we need to do. For reference, the actual dashboard under the hood here, just for proof, is like a really terrible layout. There's just me mucking around, but like a 4-up with a tile down here. This is actually loading a grid layout inside a stack layout. Minor lie about the fixed header, but that is actually possible to do fixed headers so that the filters would sort of scroll above everything. And the cool demo in here is that the entire grid layout is actually a reference to a shared one. So I can have one that's fixed and one that's scroll, and those are actually two different views. And the other piece to notice is that we're getting the grid layout right, but we're doing it without using React Grid Layout. This is actually just done with CSS. It is screwing up the size of the charts, so lots of little things to dial in there. Last but not least, the two different layouts here were generated by AI. So I handed Claude the entire schema of this spec schema. I exported it as JSON schema, and then handed it to Claude along with this chunk here and some names of some references and said, figure it out, and it figured it out. Not repeatable yet, but it is sort of beginning proof of life if we can use AI to write these layouts. So yeah, coming along. Oh, I guess I am going to have this up in a local sandbox pretty soon if people want to, well, if a few folks want to play around with it, mostly for Jared and Sarah to laugh at my terrible choices, but should be available for minor playground stuff. Just expect it to break a lot. So yeah.
And as Luke, as a general PSA too on our plans, just for everybody watching at home, is we're obviously doing some still internal testing, internal development, but at least right now our plan is to open, like when we do start rolling this out, like there will be some way to interact with this code base layer, or maybe we put the AI on top of it to make that a bit easier. And that'll be a way for us to launch and land these things early. And then we will over time be putting UIs on top so that when folks want to put things together or move filters around, they don't have to always forever go into code.
Yeah, I don't think we'll launch. My hope is not to launch to any broad group without a UI for the majority of it. The nice thing is because there's a code implementation, people can go extend to their heart's delight, but the goal is to ship with a UI for the vast majority of like the common cases.